Greetings and salutations, YouTubers and malefactors. We're back here at Stop Logic Motorsports, and the reason I'm recording a dubbed over audio is my GoPro Hero 10 decided not to record any audio. So what we're looking at today is the Vervor Knockoff Baja NoPinch tool. And full disclosure, I actually used to have one of these, probably close to about 20 years ago when it first came out. And originally I think I paid about $130 for it. Nowadays, when you look at them, they've gone nearly up to $300, which is Rabaconda territory. So I got on to Vervor.com, which also does a bunch of other automotive tools, and picked up this knockoff for about $70. $67 after shipping. So, like the Baja NoPinch tool, it comes with your various axle sizes and everything else that you would install for your various sized wheels. And just kind of general glance, the materials aren't quite as good as what comes on the Baja NoPinch. I mean, some of this is CNC aluminum, but looking at the actual pinion setup, it's cast. And well, that's kind of the long and short of it. So I've got my dirty water, which is Dawn and water mix. And we have our wheel spacer here, because normally you'll put the system into the wheel spacer and then drop it through the center. And this largest one should actually fit the KTM, but we'll see here in a second, it's actually not machined correctly. So, pardon me. So, just an overall review of materials on here. The pinion doesn't appear to have as much bend as the original Baja NoPinch. The welds look a little bit funky. And we're going to see if this actually fits in here. Alright, so what we're doing is we're putting the axle adapter in for the KTM sized deal here. And what should occur now is I should be able to fit this in the center and everything just kind of be held in place. But lo and behold, this is not machined correctly, and it's too big for the axle on the KTM. Well, that's a bit of a sticky wicket now, isn't it? So unfortunately, we're going to have a bit of slop in here, which makes this much more difficult from my memory of using this tool. So we don't quite have a very sunny day to work with. It's a little bit overcast today, and what we're doing now is following the Baja NoPinch instructions. We're inflating the tube just enough to get it to hold shape. And I don't think I need to simulate the Ryobi air compressor unless you want to, feel the whirring noise. And I am just going to go fetch this tire out from poolside. So what we have here is the Tusk Recon. I know I have the Talon, underneath my bed right now, but that's going to be my next race season tire. I'm putting this on for the last race this year and going to be burning this up over the winter. I've ran this tire before. It's relatively good in nearly all conditions. It kind of lacks a bit in the sand, a little bit in the mud. But also, it's ungodly thick and hard to spoon on, so I figure, if we're going to test a tire machine, we should grab a tire that'll actually test it a bit. So we fit the tube into the tire. And we're trying to get it around that rim lock here, per the instructions on the Baja NoPinch. And now we're going to try and fish this valve stem through here. It's going to prove to be a little more difficult than it looks in the videos. So the deal is with like an extra super heavy duty tube or ultra heavy duty tube, it's a little bit harder to manhandle. And our big goal right now is we're going to just get this thing just through here so we can feed it on. Alrighty, so we're going to start the grim task of getting this over the rim lock using our soap and water. Old-fashioned methods work best sometimes. Now what Baja recommends is that you take baby powder and you swish it around the tire and coat the tube in it, which is another option you can do. the reason I don't use baby powder myself is it sometimes increases friction inside the tire and you wind up wearing tubes a bit if it shifts in there. And the soapy water kind of goes away on its own accord. And that's also why I don't use any sort of like petroleum-based lubricants, because those will result in the tire having more free spin on the rim once everything's kind of set. Alright, so we have the tool fit in, and well, goodness, this is a bit of a pickle. It doesn't have enough downward bend on it to actually reach the bead of the tire. I'm going to try putting a bit more downward force on it to try and get it to actually fit into the tire, but so far this seems to be quite a mechanical downfall of this device. I gotta let my dogs in there having a fit. At this point of the video, the original audio, I was starting to get a little bit agitated, as it didn't seem like it was going to reach the tire at all, and I started to just go ahead and use my spoons again. Now, this is about as close as I managed to get this thing to actually act the way it was supposed to, and it would not feed the tire down onto the rim, which is kind of pointless. So since the original tube didn't work, what I went ahead and did is I used the hollow axle from the KTM, and I downsized my inner pinion shaft or whatnot. It seems to fit this actually pretty close. And we're gonna give this tire changing tool another shot at web redemption, so to speak, Tosh.0 style. Alright, so we're trying to get it fit in here, and come on, you know, instead of just pressing on the rim. Yeah, pressing on the tube. Alright, so we have it on the tire. Yeah, the problem we have here is it's still not forcing downward any. So the way this is supposed to work is you put it 180 degrees from the tire fed into the rim lock, and then you crank it, and it's supposed to feed the tire down onto it. So what I did at this point was I became disillusioned with the original tire, trying to feed it on the machine on from the back side of it. So I went ahead and did 50% of the work with just my irons, because this is the part where the tool actually is supposed to shine, is where you have the second half of the tire to do, the part where you're feeding it on after you have the tube in. And so, sort of the end game, so to speak. So unfortunately my GoPro decided that it was going to go on strike. And the rest of this footage appears to have been lost. Well, I guess it goes to show you shouldn't send a GoPro to do a DJI's job. So, I ended up getting the tire on the rest of the way with just spoons, because I really just couldn't take fighting this tire device anymore. So here's my final thoughts about this tool. First off, this pinion doesn't have the correct bend to actually fit the tire onto the tube. So with this being the incorrect angle, it's essentially useless. The build quality is relatively nice. The pinion gears are a little bit schlocky. The fact that the poles don't actually fit through the tires kind of makes this largely useless. Kind of a bummer. But then again, you know, it's a $67 knockoff of a $300 tool. So, you know, results may vary. But to be quite frank, I think that your $67 would be better spent elsewhere than on this particular tool. Well, anywho, if you like the content, like and subscribe. If you don't, feel free to criticize me harshly. I also take payment in attaboys, and I'll see you guys next weekend at oh goodness, where are we going? Cleburne for the last race of the season. I should have Nux here back together. So, have a good one, folks.